Hello everybody and welcome back to Connor here, and we are back with a player profile on Michael Cuisance, an unbelievable signing for the Whites. It has been heralded by many as one of the signings of the summer. I'm absolutely buzzing with it. I'm over the moon, and I thought, why not try give you guys a breakdown, a little bit, as I've just said, a player profile on what to expect and why we have brought in this amazing French talent. Let's just get a little bit of backlog, a little bit of backstory, a little bit of history into Cuisance and his mindset and his attitude. Well, in the summer of 2017, we sort of saw the steel mentality come through of Cuisance. Now, he had two offers. He had Borussia Mönchengladbach, who finished 9th in the Bundesliga the season before, and he had juggernauts Pep Guardiola alongside as well, Manchester City. What did he do? Well, he wanted playing time. And that was the big facet of him moving to the Bundesliga side. As I've just said, he finished 9th in the Bundesliga the season before. You get Man City, you get Pep Guardiola, who's managed the likes of Lionel Messi. You think to yourself, right, I'm going to go there. No, not this man. This man went to Gladbach because at the age of 18, he wanted more playing time. For me, that is a steel mentality, a lot of maturity, and something that I'm massively excited to see at Leeds United. Now, this is just something that you don't hear in the modern game. You know, the financial package always outweighs the desire to play football, in my personal opinion. You'll get players who actually go to clubs and are willing to sit on the bench. Now, this guy was 17 at the time. He'd not even made his debut for AS Nancy at that time. So what did he do? He wanted the playing time. He wasn't overawed by the financial package. He moved to Gladbach, and this was the start of his career. Now, from an early age, he was described as the next Thiago at Bayern at the time, which is sort of where you draw comparisons right now from him. Obviously, he was supposed to be the mould at Bayern for that Thiago mould, just to fill in as the 21-year-old, the next prodigy. It hasn't worked out like that. He's coming to Leeds United, which is fantastic for us. But at the time, he was seen as Thiago. His breakthrough season at Gladbach was absolutely phenomenal. His heat map, he was always everywhere. He was an architect on the pitch. He was key in everything they did. And his first season, as I've just said, at Gladbach was absolutely stunning. Christoph Kramer as well, who was at Mönchengladbach at the time, said he can do things at 17 that I can't do when I'm 22 years of age, or I couldn't do when I was 22 years of age. So the pedigree of this guy was beyond belief. He got the Young Player of the Month for September, November and October. So it was widely recognised by Gladbach fans and people who revered him around the world that this kid was going to go on to big, big things. Now, at the end of his first season at Gladbach, he was offered a new 5-year deal. He made 26 appearances and was given the club's Player of the Year in his first season. Now, at this point in his career, you were thinking, wow, he's going to go from step to step to step. He's going to have another successful campaign with Gladbach. But it was at this point in the 2018-19 season that you started seeing a few discrepancies. Was his head being turned? Was his agent getting in his ear a little bit? Because he'd had such a superb season for Gladbach in his breakthrough season at just 18 years of age. Now, the following season, he only made 13 appearances, but he had a wonderful UEFA campaign with France under-20s, getting 2 assists and a goal in 4 appearances. So once again, the pedigree was still there, but he fell highly out of favour at Gladbach. There was talk of his attitude. There was talk of performances that weren't being put in when he was playing for Gladbach. And this whole talk of his attitude, and this is a consistent theme with Cuisance, started to become a bigger thing. But during that summer where he'd been absolutely phenomenal that season, there was talk consistently of him moving on, of him moving to Barcelona, of him moving back home to Paris Saint-Germain, obviously back to France. There was talk of him going abroad to Real Madrid as well. So all of this in his head, and you could see that this potentially affected him going forward. Now, the season after he just got them to this unbelievable level, Gladbach, and he got Player of the Year and Young Player of the Month about 3 successive times. Dieter Hecking at the time didn't enjoy how his style of football was progressing, which was very odd because the season before he'd been absolutely unbelievable for them. But his risk-taking became a big problem for Hecking. The ability to get the ball was unbelievable. The ability to transition it from defensive midfield to attacking thirds. The problem for Dieter was that he was surrendering possession far too easily, and with Mönchengladbach going for that Champions League spot, this was becoming a big problem. Now, Hecking left Mönchengladbach at the end of the 18-19 season after a little bit of a poor campaign towards the end, and this is where everything sort of changed for Cuisance. He got a personal chef, he decided to put a gym in his home, everything changed, and he vowed not to make the same mistakes of the previous season. Obviously, he started so well, was absolutely firing, but that season he wasn't given a lot of confidence from the manager. He was sort of exiled from the squad at a young age, and when he was coming on, he was trying to impress, and by impressing, you naturally do too much, don't you? And this became a sort of consistent theme for him, giving the ball away, rendering possession. And when Rosa came in at Mönchengladbach, the 4-4-2 system enabled him to sort of play multiple positions. But once again, this didn't massively go well for him. Now, there was obviously the move to Bayern Munich, which turned a lot of people's heads, and everybody knew that that was sort of going to be the succession plan, the amount of potential, the amount of ability that this kid has. He was always going to be the potential successor to someone like Thiago. He'd been compared to him. A lot of French outlets said he was Zinedine Zidane in the making, that just lovely ability as a big man to get out of tight spaces, play that pass, transition the play, as I say, from defence to attack, and also utilise the dynamism of Bayern's wings, which is also a comparative you can see at Leeds United and Marcelo Bielsa's philosophy. He moved to Bayern, and a lot of Bayern fans were massively excited by this. There was a lot of praise on social media for the acquisition, and it was seen to be the next step for Cuisance. It didn't work in his second season at Gladbach, but there was still potential there. There was still the ability for him to become one of Bayern's best players for the next 10-15 years. Now, it's no secret that he didn't play as many games for Bayern, and he was behind the likes of Tolisso, Muller, Joshua Kimmich. You look at Goretzka, who they brought in recently. He was behind so many players. It was very difficult for him to break the mould, as you will. So this wasn't going to be an easy ride for Cuisance, and he battled and battled to get into that Bayern setup, but it just didn't seem to happen for him. He made the total of 12 appearances in 2020, and the exciting thing about it is he didn't lose a single game. He wasn't part of a single loss for Bayern in 2020. So that winning mentality, bringing that over to Leeds, and his technical ability is something that I'm massively, massively excited for. So with him moving on, this is a massively exciting move for Leeds United. A lot of people are turning around and saying it's the coup of the window, which, I mean, you just see it, an 18 million for someone who's 21. He's got so much potential. He's going to be in the French national team as well, surely. And under Marcelo Bielsa, he's got so much room for even further improvement, but he's got all the right attributes. He loves to take risks. He's excellent in possession. And I just see him alongside Matthias Klick as being potentially, you know, one of the midfields of the season, really, just with the technical ability and their ability to move from one third to another third. And yeah, it's just an unbelievable signing for Leeds United, and this has been sort of reinforced by the fact that Bayern have actually put a buyback clause into his contract. Now, if they didn't see any potential in this kid, they didn't expect him to get to that next level, there'd be nothing like that in the contract. But there is a buyback clause. I wouldn't get worried about it because Bayern never spend a large amount on one singular player. Sort of the ones that I can think of off the top of my head are Tolisso and Leroy Sané. But aside from that, it doesn't really happen. And you don't really see buyback clause activated really in football. We've seen that with Nathan Ake, Lukaku, De Bruyne. It doesn't really happen. There's no real regularity with it. So I would be really excited. It's a 5-year deal according to Romano for Leeds. So yeah, this has been a little bit of a player profile, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. Slap a like on the video. Make sure you subscribed, and I'll see you in a bit.